v.h.s.x? What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're reacting and having a discussion about a video from MintSkull titled The Most Controversial Rework. I'm about to say yet ever. It was yet. The 9.2.0 balance changes. So obviously we're talking about Michael Myers, his rework that was introduced in the PTB as of late that we've seen. And I've spoken about the Myers rework extensively, I would say at this point. I think it is definitely been a bit of a concern for me as a Halloween fan and as a Michael Myers, I guess you could say, a main at this point. On the side, of course. It definitely is a bit concerning because of the various reasons that I'll cover after we hear what MintSkull has to say about it.
Majority of them are either hated or loved. In this case, there are some players saying that this rework kills Michael Myers, whereas others find this rework to be very cool, and I am part of the second side. Myers is now a stance change killer, being able to change from stalker mode, where he is undetectable and can stalk survivors, to pursuer mode, where he is a glorified M1 killer with a smaller turn radius and some perks partially base kit. Once you stalk survivors enough, you can enter Evil Within, which is a temporal tier 3 state where you get access to Slaughtering Strike, a glorified M1 attack that you can charge to go further and instantly down survivors and break pallets quite fast. Then it enters a cooldown. The funniest part is that you can technically replicate this rework in the live game already, as this build is basically what this Myers going to be once the rework releases.
I do completely agree with MintSkull in the sense that it does obviously have Myers completely has like sort of forms, I guess you could say. You can switch modes and it is unique in that way, and I won't say that it completely kills Michael Myers. And on paper, of course, like a weak killer getting to be changed into something vastly different that completely can make the killer more interesting and more enjoyable to play, of course, is, you know, on everybody's mind. That's what they want for a good majority of killers, just so that they feel more fun to play. And for those people that enjoy the characters, they probably will enjoy it more because they have a more interesting, way to play the character. Now, from my own perspective, like where I stand when it comes down to this Myers rework, is that I'm looking at it more in a lore, thematic sort of standpoint, and for the fact that there has only been, I think, about 3 licensed killers that I think are so extremely faithful to the source material that you literally feel like you're playing the character. And I think those 3 were Freddy, Michael Myers, and Chucky, I think, up to this point. And Myers, I think, was like the #1 golden standard, in my opinion, for being able to translate a character from the source material into DBD, like completely faithfully, I would say. I wouldn't say like visually faithfully, but I would say gameplay faithfully. I would say it captures that feeling of being Michael Myers, and really captures that vibe that you can get from the films. Now, obviously, the one downside when it comes down to this rework is that it completely removes what that is, right? Like, there has been no instance where Myers is like slaughtering, striking all over the all over the all over the movie. He just doesn't do that. I mean, he's not a very fast character. He doesn't run very quickly. He's pretty much like a tank. Like, he doesn't run. Maybe he'll like teleport somewhat, but it's not like he's just out here like flying around the map, right? And that's just not what he does. He's stealthy. He pops up on you. He's quite slow. You don't really know he's there. And those things are true to the character. Now, obviously, when it comes down to this rework, I think the other aspects of the rework are good. I wish that they kept all those things. But what my main focus has been the actual motion of the Slaughtering Strike itself, because it just simply does not translate with the character. Now, on the other hand, there is also the fact that Freddy introduced into the game was completely faithful to the source material and just did not work. Now, as much as I've wanted them to like sort of bring back that form of Freddy to really feel like Freddy, unfortunately that hasn't happened, and they never went back to it. and now we have the snare launching dream palette dropping Freddy we have now. And I guess in the same sense that Myers might fall into that as well, where it just is not even close to faithful to what the character is. Besides a few things, it will still be more fun to play overall, but it's just a damn shame that we just kind of lose yet another character being faithful to what what the source material is. And all that's left now is Chucky being, I think, the number one, because they translated Chucky perfectly, in my opinion. Because that's what I mean. Literally, what he does in the game is what he's essentially doing a lot of the time in the movies. He's running up to people a lot of the time, jumping onto them, and in this case, he's actually jumping and trying to give them a little stabby stab. So yeah.
In fact, this might be the reason I enjoy this rework so much, because it is literally my most used build on him. So let's go over the good parts first. And immediately, the biggest positive of this rework is how strong this version is compared to old Myers, and his slaughtering strike attack is very lethal, very easy to get with the new stalking changes, and allows him to outplay a lot of loops and even zone survivors thanks to breaking pallets so fast, which funnily enough finally gives me that vibe that Myers is an unstoppable force, as he is, along with Nemesis, the only killers that can move after breaking a pallet. I could make an argument as to why Myers has potential to become a new A tier somewhere close to Chucky, because with this rework, he looks like a stronger Chucky. Both have a stealth component, only Myers is better. Both have a dash.
I will stop it there because personally, as a Chucky player, I do not consider Chucky to be even close to the A tier in my opinion. I think that his counterplay is extremely easy to do. He does not have a lot of build variety. He simply is just not, objectively in my opinion, is not that powerful. Coming from all my time at playing Chucky up to this point, I just don't think he's that strong. Now, obviously, I think Myers, if I had to kind of weigh the two, I think that Myers objectively is a smidge stronger with the rework than the Chucky that we have nowadays. Now, I would probably put Myers with this rework probably within the B tier. I don't really imagine that he'd be even close to an A tier in my opinion. Just from what I'm seeing, just from how counterplay works and stuff like that when it comes to DBD, a lot of the time, what really can weigh down a character is simply its counterplay. And that is mainly my focus when it comes down to this. Chucky's counterplay is extremely easy to do. You really do not need to be experienced to extremely experienced, I should say. You don't need thousands of hours to understand, oh, I just move to the side, or I turn a corner, or I hold W. It's very simple. Now, the other aspect I will say is I do agree with MintSkull though, that it does make Myers stronger. It does make Myers probably more fun for most people. Now, that's not to say that Myers wasn't already fun. I just think that now it's appealing to a different audience than it did before, because a lot of people probably played Myers because it felt like being Myers, and they found that to be extremely fun. Now, Myers is stronger, but now he doesn't feel like Myers anymore. So I think that's kind of the thing. And kind of the problem. A lot of people are kind of sick of the dash thing. I mean, I've already made the comparison that it's like Pig or like Chucky now, which is why are we getting licenses with all the same exact abilities, is where my issue sort of begins, because we already have two characters that are licensed with dashes. If you really consider Wesker too, but that's a whole different type of dash, but you could go there.
Attack. Only Myers can break pallets and insta down, and Myers has some very good add-ons too, giving him an insane amount of build variety, finally fixing the issue of his add-ons being severely outdated, with some being absolute trash, like the stalking movement speed.
I will agree with the annotation that MintSkull did put here. I do completely agree. The add-ons are better. They offer a lot more interesting builds. I can't say that I do agree. Old Myers is only did really have about 3 playstyles, but I also disagree, because I think a lot of killers already don't have a lot of build varieties, I would say. I can't imagine that there's too many killers in the game currently that genuinely have like more than 3 playstyles. And I would say a good example of a character that was sort of advertised to be as such was probably Springtrap, but they nerfed the haste add-ons. So according to a couple of the Springtrap mains, it doesn't really seem like it's really that much variety anymore. And further than that, I would say that maybe Dracula, you could say, like within the base kit, has a more like a couple of like unique ways to play, but I arguably don't. I even disagree with that to an extent, because it's not really a way to play per se, but more just how the base kit, like, you know, sort of mechanics work, where you can use the tools that are given to you in different ways. But I guess it's hard to say. It's hard to say when it comes down to that statement.
Severely outdated, with some being absolute trash, like the stalking movement speed add-ons or those dumb add-ons that only worked in tier 1.
I agree with that though. The stalking movement speed add-ons are just pointless. Like I don't think I ever used them because they just didn't make any sense to do so. So I have to agree with that. Like I think Myers had still fallen into that camp where like the add-ons are just completely pointless for the most part. You either had Scratch Mirror or Vanity Mirror, which is just aura while stalking. And then you had a couple of other ones that did the similar thing without the downside. Then you had Tombstone, and then after that it was like, oh, I don't know, like Infinite tier 3 or something. Like I get it. But that's a bigger killer issue, I think, more so than a Myers problem.
Now there are 3
But I agree.
problems with this rework, with the first one being easy to fix. In the PTB, Myers felt very clunky, and I think he might be unfinished, as some of his animations were very broken, like entering the new Evil Within state, which for some reason reuses the basic attack cooldown, and it looks like he is inspecting his knife like an animation on Counter-Strike, or how his knife glows with a very cheap effect, and sometimes it straight up stops working when dashing. Perhaps the most noticeable effect is the lack of the animation of him pulling the knife up when he is in Evil Within, which was something very special from original Myers that I miss a lot.
Yeah, I miss that too. I agree with MintSkull on that. I mean, because of like honestly, him holding up his knife was one of the coolest parts of playing within Evil Within. Like honestly, I think it's so cool. And I wish they would translate that to the Tuft of Hair add-on that they were updating. The Infinite Tier 3 was going to change so that you can basically play, pre-rework Myers again. But even when you're in your evil incarnate, you're not even holding up your knife like normal. So that it just kind of sucks. So I'm just like, damn. Like, so I wish they would be able to do that. I don't know if they will. This is behavior we're talking about. But I hope that they do. Like, it would be nice, so that there's at least an option, and it at least can hold on to what we like about the character. But I agree with that. I agree with with that negative for sure. It does look very clunky as well. I do completely agree with that.
On that PTB. I also absolutely despise the fact that you get locked out of Stalker mode when you have enough stock points to get Evil Within. So I literally cannot play in a stealthy way unless I bring a specific build for it. And I don't see the design reason as to why this is the case. When Myers has his stock fully done, a global sound plays for everyone, and he gets slowed down when activating it, so giving Myers Stalker mode when he is currently full would allow him to come close to a survivor and ambush them. With the current version,
I do like that idea. I haven't heard anyone mention that, so shout out to MintSkull for this. But I never heard that before. I never heard that idea that they mentioned. Nobody's mentioned that you can't toggle back to the stalker mode when you have it all charged. That would make the character a lot more interesting and a lot more scary. And I think that they should do that to maintain what made old Myers, I think, more interesting when it came down to stuff like the Vanity Mirror, Scratch Mirror, that kind of thing. I think you can recapture that, because if you do have it charged, and then you can just go undetectable, and then you can just like pop up on somebody, I think that it will recapture that sort of feeling that people liked about playing against Myers, because you do have that fear now that he can just really be around anywhere and then just one shot you. I think that's really cool. I think I like that idea a lot, and I think it's closer to Ghostface in that way too. Which, as we've seen with Ghostface, they are cool with some of the killer being undetectable and being able to pop up on you, being their main thing. So I think that they should do that. I agree with MintSkull on that.
You cannot do that, and it completely contradicts his stance change playstyle. If I want to be stealthy, let me be stealthy. In fact, for some reason there is also a stock decay meter, where if you don't stalk survivors for 20 seconds, your progress resets to 50%, which I genuinely don't understand why is the case, considering the 3 big buffs they gave to survivors so they are aware on what stage Myers is before it happens. The stalking sound,
He's already halfway done.
the global sound of having Myers tier 3 ready,
Okay.
and the massive slowdown when activating the power. The third problem is how this rework kills the identity of the original Michael Myers. The original version, especially after the rework, was movie accurate, as you had to stalk survivors from afar in order to ambush them and instantly pop tier 3. He felt like a scary ambusher, similar to Ghostface. Now, his gameplay is completely different and there is basically no stealth element. You stay in stalker mode since preserve mode is basically useless, you stalk survivors now that it's infinite per survivor and the range is shorter, and you get evil within extremely fast, so you can basically have it all the time. So Myers feels less stealthy to use than before, but he has a higher skill ceiling now, as the ambush attack has a lot of mind games that you can do with it.
I agree with MintSkull on this point, and that's, I think, what makes this sort of rework so controversial in a lot of ways, is the fact that on one hand it's positive, it's great. The lower tier is becoming better. It's not going to be completely impossible to win your game if you wanted to play Myers. On the other hand, it also, oh yeah, and also I forgot to add the skill ceiling, and you have like unique stuff you can do now. And but the downside obviously is we lose what makes Myers feel like Myers from the movie and stuff like that, and it's like you lose a little bit of the soul, you know what I mean, of the character. I feel like it takes away that feeling of being Michael Myers in a video game. Like, wow, like it takes away some of that magic, it really does. It's a lot about feel, it's a lot about even play style. Like he really was able to stalk from far away, and he was able to, like, when I would play him, that's been what I really enjoyed. It was kind of standing somewhere and like stalking them from far, just kind of like the movies, and that has always been really fun for me to do when I did play the character. And it's like the fact that the stalk range is shorter kind of takes away some of that aspect, which it makes sense. Like, you want to kind of lean more into this lunging, quote unquote lunging, because I know people like to call it a lunge when it's actually a dash. This this sort of dash, you want to kind of make that to be the central focus of what the gameplay is about. So you want to kind of reduce the distance with stalk, and you want to make it a little bit easier to be like spotted, so people know that they're being stalked and stuff like that. But I think 2 important changes if you want to maintain what Myers is all about is have the longer range stalk, and have it so you can toggle to the cloak mode, or whatever you want to call it, the undetectable mode, the stalker mode, whatever. Bring that back. Bring that back. I think that'll be the best way to go about it, in my opinion. I think that's honestly the solution. So that's mainly my perspective on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section of what you guys think of the Myers rework. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Like, what would you change about it if you could? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. While you're down there, you can check the link for the original video, which covers other changes in the video that MintSkull's talking about. While you're down there, there's also links to support the channel. Consider becoming a member or joining the Patreon, and following on TikTok or Twitch to watch me play Killer live on Twitch. and I will see you guys in the next one.